This is the new BMW M2 A car that some will scare children with. I'm also scared. Want to know why? Stay tuned.
There is no pretending that the new M2 is just a styling evolution, maybe from the rear or from the side, where you see the traditional, for M models, wide rear fenders or the BMW's hallmark Hofmeister kink in the lower corner of the C-pillar. Also, BMW talks about references to the 2002 and 1M Coupe. Okay, I'm ready to drink the Kool-Aid here.
I'm even buying the Minecraft fascia. I saw it at a closed presentation in the summer of 2022 and I wasn't revolted. But then the spy shots of the G87 were leaked and the internet got a nasty case of diarrhea. I'll agree to disagree. First of all, it could have been much worse, and secondly, you'll soil your pants in this car for a completely different reason. The BMW M2 G87 has 460 horsepower, trying to escape through the rear tires. That's more than the M3 F80 with competition pack. And that M3 was already too edgy for me. That's why I prefer the G80 M3 with X-Drive, which can be disconnected, the front axle that is, when the conditions are right.
But even the current M240i X-Drive is rear-wheel biased, so don't be surprised when you see your rear end overtaking you. That's what happens when there is more power than driving skills. And it's the same in the M2. First of all, it has more power than a 911 Carrera S. Secondly, it's slower 0 to 100 km/h anyway, but Porsche somehow manages to design its cars so that such performance is accessible if, of course, you have twice as much money as you would pay for a BMW. There's a reason why Porsches are expensive.
In any case, this M2 should accelerate from 0 to 100 km/h in 4.1 seconds with the Steptronic transmission, or you can pay €500 more and have a slower car but with a manual gearbox. And to be honest, the manual option is the only reason I'd even consider the M2. Otherwise, I'd just stick with the M240i. However, today I'm driving the automatic because BMW press department decided it's cheaper than replacing several clutches throughout the car's lifespan on the press fleet, and I get that.
Over the years, making reviews for this channel, I noticed M cars rarely got the views I'd want, so I wasn't in a hurry to do this review, and you're probably watching it at least 4 months after it was filmed. Anyway, I'm one of the last people to drive this particular test car while it's still on the press fleet, so the weather is less than perfect and so are the tires. Even on dry tarmac with traction control on in normal mode, the M2 wants to brake traction at medium throttle. With traction control off or limited, on dry tarmac, the M2 stops spinning its wheels around the 4th gear. And in the wet, when I was recording my test acceleration runs, let's just say that with launch control, the time was significantly worse than in comfort mode with traction control on.
Ja pierdolę. In normal mode, with traction control on in the wet, I got 5.5 seconds, 0 to 100 km/h, which is astonishing. This car is rear-wheel drive, don't forget, and 80 to 120 took just 2.6 seconds. In the hands of an experienced driver, this car will be like an adrenaline shot. Because on public roads, it's scary enough even for the driver. I can't imagine what an M2 passenger must feel when he sees the driver struggling for control over the car. That's why this is not a street toy. This is a track weapon or a car for empty winding roads, away from the people, where you can't get too much speed between the corners. And pray it's going to be dry, or bring a change of underwear. Anything else on the driving impressions front? Well, the suspension is a bit too stiff for imperfect stretches of road. The seats could have better lateral support, and BMW will happily sell you bucket seats, but these are suitable for the track, not if you want to daily this car. The interior is rather noisy, like on the Jaguar F-Type, so longer road trips may be tiresome. The difference, however, is that the F-Type has a 70-liter tank, while the BMW M2 only has a 52-liter tank, with real-world average fuel consumption of around 12-13 liters per 100 kilometers. You'll stop at the pump as often as an EV driver visits a charging station. And yes, I know you can charge your EV overnight, but on a road trip, you'll just fill up your M2 in a couple of minutes and off you go to have fun.
Under the bonnet is a 3-liter M twin-power turbo inline-6 with 2 monoscroll turbos, 550 Nm of torque, a 7,200 RPM redline. This controversial front end was designed not only to polarize the forums, but also as means of more efficient engine cooling. Many systems were adapted from the M3 and M4, for example the M adaptive suspension, the M adaptive steering, the M compound brakes, which are very effective by the way, or the M differential.
And finally, the M2 gets the full M mode configuration like on bigger M models. You can configure various elements of the drivetrain to your taste and then store these settings to be deployed when using M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel.
Also carried over from the larger M models is MDM or M dynamic mode with a 10-step slip adjustment. You can practice your driving, gradually reducing traction control intervention, and yes, you can analyze the length and angle while drifting, but I had nowhere to test it this time. And something everyone will soon have to deal with, the ISA or ISA or Intelligent Speed Assist. The M2 is the first BMW to have this new mandatory system implemented, and it emits an audible warning every time you exceed the speed limit.
I mentioned ISA or ISA in my Lexus RX and Toyota Prius reviews. The ISA, Intelligent Speed Assistant, that's the beeper that alerts you whenever you exceed the speed limit. Now, it can be turned off, but you have to do it every time you restart the vehicle. So, it's simple. You go into the settings, then you go into the second screen of the settings, then you long press to change the settings, then you change the notification method, then you change the above speed limit, and you choose only visual. And then you get out of there to sort of see whatever you want to see on your display. Brilliant. Over there you have to click through multi-level menus to disable this annoying system. In BMW, all you have to do is just hold down the set button on the steering wheel and the warning is turned off. And I know it's for our safety, but try driving 10 km per hour through a supermarket parking lot. Or the system responds to limits stored in the navigation, which are no longer physically on the road, or it reacts to limits from parallel roads, and I know such places, and all cars get confused there. This is why I think of all the systems designed to improve our safety, ISA is a miss. Beside the insufficient, in my opinion, lateral support adjustment, the seats are also very long here, even in the shortest setting. Now, that's good news for taller drivers, but for me, the seats are too long. Now, as in all new and facelifted BMW models, the M2 also gets the BMW OS 8 with dual display running across 2/3 of the dashboard. I've gotten used to how it works, but I still don't like the aesthetics. Since BMW makes references to its historical models, why not design some classic skin for the instrument cluster, like they did on the new Mini, where you can display the original Mini Cooper Speedo.
Other than that, we have large door pockets, 2 USB ports under the armrest, a wireless charger which is obstructed by cup holders, a medium-sized glove box. In the rear, I have just about enough legroom behind the driver's seat set to my driving position. I'm 175 centimeters tall, but forget about sitting behind a taller driver. Also, headroom is insufficient even for me. There are no cup holders in the rear either, nor is there a real armrest, although the backrest does split 40-20-40. There is third-zone climate control, but there are no USB ports. I think the rear seats in the 2 Series Coupe are there only to ease the conscience that it's possible to drive the kids to school. The boot capacity is 390 liters. You can easily pack 2 people for a long weekend or a short road trip, and with the seats folded, you can fit a set of track wheels. Good luck fitting those in your 911. BMW M2 prices start at €75,400. This test car with options, which include a €2,600 M carbon roof, which saves you 6 kilograms, costs €91,275.
The new BMW M2 is more powerful, quicker, has better this and that, yada yada yada. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not significantly better than the 1M Coupe, which, by the way, costs as much today as a new M240i, if you want a solid example, that is. Taking into account financing, warranty and everything else associated with buying a new car, I'd consider the M2 only for the manual gearbox. Perhaps then it'll one day live to become a cult model. And how do you like the new BMW M2? Do you want to track it, daily it, or maybe an M240i is all you need? Or perhaps you're not into cheap stuff and Cayman is your weapon of choice? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.